The Denver Nuggets were on top of the world in 2023, winning their first NBA championship in franchise history behind Nikola Jokic. At that time, Jokic was a two-time MVP and inarguably the best player in the world. His path was set as a no-doubt Hall of Famer, and he had all the tools to become one of the 10 greatest players in NBA history, but that was 3 years ago. Since then, the Nuggets have wasted the talent of Nikola Jokic. Sure, he won another MVP and led the Nuggets to 3 straight 50-win seasons, but they haven't even made it back to the Western Conference Finals, much less the NBA Finals. And because of cap struggles and lopsided trades, the Nuggets are only a shell of a team that they once were, which is a shame considering that Jokic has only gotten better throughout the years. It's funny though, because the Nuggets should have never even been in this position in the first place. There's a reason why Nikola Jokic was drafted with the 41st pick in the second round of the 2014 NBA draft. It's not because people thought he could become a star one day, it's because they didn't think he would ever become something. When he was drafted in the middle of a Taco Bell commercial on ESPN, nobody thought that he would ever translate into the star that he is today. But after spending 1 season in Serbia, he came over for the 2015-2016 NBA season and immediately dominated, finishing 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting and averaging 10 points and 7 rebounds a game. That may seem like pedestrian numbers, especially for someone like Nikola Jokic, but keep this in perspective. Not many second-round picks come in and put up 10 points and 7 rebounds a game. You may only get 1 or 2 standouts from a draft past pick 30, and Nikola Jokic was clearly one of them in 2014. But at this stage in time, the Nuggets had a decision to make. Would Nikola Jokic be the center of their future, or would it be another young center that the Nuggets had on roster, Jusuf Nurkic? Nurkic was drafted in 2014, in the same draft that Nikola Jokic was drafted, but he was taken with the 17th overall pick. Nurkic immediately came over to the States to play in the NBA and started 27 games his rookie year, putting up 7 points and 6 rebounds a game and finishing 6th in Rookie of the Year voting. The following season, Nurkic got hurt and played only 32 games, but at that point, it was clear that the Nuggets needed to make a decision between the two players who played somewhat similarly at that time. Either they invested their future into the former 17th overall pick who showed flashes of greatness the previous season, or they give the keys to the 41st overall pick, someone who looked good for 1 season, but maybe that was just a flash in the pan. Ultimately, the Nuggets made the right decision, and at the trade deadline the following season, they traded Nurkic to the Portland Trail Blazers and gave the keys to Nikola Jokic. This decision ended up being maybe the best decision in the Nuggets franchise history. Of course, now you can look back and say that it was the obvious choice, but rarely are you going to see a team take a second-round selection over a first-round selection, even if the second-round selection has played better than the first-round selection in the present day. You'll normally see a team bank on the potential of the first-round pick and get rid of the second-round pick. But the Nuggets went against the grain and it turned out masterfully for them. In 2017, Nikola Jokic started 59 games and ended up averaging 17 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists a game. It was just the start of the breakout, but you could certainly see the signs starting to show. What was crucial for Jokic's development too, and crucial for his breakout, was that he was growing alongside some key pieces that would be a part of the Nuggets core for the future. The most notable of the key pieces would of course be Jamal Murray, the 19-year-old rookie from the University of Kentucky, who had a very average rookie year for someone who was taken in the lottery, but he showed signs as a potential playmaker and self-creator in the backcourt. And while the Nuggets were continuing to finish in the 9th seed in the Western Conference for multiple years in a row, they continued to keep their trust in Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and new free agent acquisition Paul Millsap, who would certainly help the present-day Nuggets and lead them in the right direction. In the draft, the Nuggets kept taking chances, taking blue chippers like Michael Porter Jr., who had injury problems in college, but certainly showed a lot of potential in high school. And while certain players like Emmanuel Mudiay never ended up working out in the NBA, you still had the great production of Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. from the lottery, and that was a trio you could build around for the future. Throughout the following seasons, the Nuggets began to start finding their footing. In 2019, the Nuggets finished as the 2nd seed in the Western Conference, and while they ended up losing in the second round of the playoffs, that experience was vital for the 2020 season, where they ended up making it to the Western Conference Finals. And as the team kept getting better, so did Nikola Jokic. In 2020, he received his first All-Star appearance, received his first top 10 finish in MVP voting, and started to establish himself as one of the premier superstars in the league. But it wasn't until 2021, though, that Nikola Jokic first got his hands on hardware, winning his first MVP award while averaging a ridiculous 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists a game. It was also in the 2021 season that the Nuggets made one of the most consequential moves in their team's history, when they traded Gary Harris and future draft capital for Aaron Gordon, the struggling Orlando Magic power forward who was very decent in Orlando but never found his footing as a top pick in the draft. The Nuggets took a flyer on Gordon, whose trade value was near an all-time low at that time, and he immediately began to thrive in their system. Gone were the days of Aaron Gordon having to lead an offense, and now he could fit into a system with Nikola Jokic, where he could sit in a dunker spot or in the corner or on the wing and hit wide open threes. Of course, that fit wasn't perfect in the beginning, but Aaron Gordon began to mold himself around Nikola Jokic and become one of the most valuable role players in the NBA today. But even as Nikola Jokic began to ascend up the NBA's ladder, you needed playoff success to prove that you were one of the top guys in the league. And in 2021, it seemed like it might be the Nuggets' year to finally get over the hump and maybe make an NBA Finals. Unfortunately, about halfway through the season, Jamal Murray suffered an unfortunate ACL injury that would keep him out for the rest of this season and for all of next season. That led to some truly terrible playoff series where in 2021, the Nuggets' guard rotation in the playoffs was Campazzo and Austin Rivers. Not exactly the two starting guards you would want to surround with Nikola Jokic. In 2022, while things were slightly better, it was almost the same. The Nuggets again suffered an unfortunate defeat in the playoffs, and things started to look grim for Nikola Jokic. At that point in time, he was a two-time MVP, and he had no finals MVPs, no finals trophies, no playoff success at all really to show for it. But this led to their magical 2023 season. Jamal Murray was healthy, Aaron Gordon had fully bought into the Nuggets and was starting to develop nicely in his role. Michael Porter Jr. was Michael Porter Jr., and Nikola Jokic was Nikola Jokic. And to add on top of that, the Nuggets finally had a decent bench around Nikola Jokic. Of course, everyone talks about Jokic's on-off numbers, which, if you don't know what that means, that's the difference between when Jokic is on the court and when Jokic is off the court. And Jokic has a historic on-off rate, meaning that when he's on the court, the team is good, and when he's off, the team is historically bad. But now the Nuggets were adding solid bench pieces, like, most notably, the rookie Christian Braun, who's adding a nice punch off the bench as a decent shooter and a great defender. This great roster construction culminated in the Nuggets winning their franchise's first NBA title in 2023. But this is where things reached their peak. This is where, inarguably, Jokic was the best player in the world. But since then, it's just been a revolving door of faces. Sure, the Nuggets ended up locking up Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Christian Braun to long-term extensions. But just a couple of years after the 2023 title and a couple of more playoff exits, the Nuggets let go of Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. And while at the time it seemed like a fairly even trade, and if anything, it might have even been more positive for the Nuggets, but it was so clear that the Nuggets had lost a primary scorer the second that Cam Johnson stepped on the court. Sure, his shooting versatility was very important for the Nuggets, but at times he really struggled last season, and the Nuggets desperately needed a third scoring option to take the pressure off of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. It also doesn't help, of course, that Christian Braun has been hurt for the better part of 2 years and just has not been himself following that title run. Joining him on the injured list is Aaron Gordon, who has also been out for stretches of time for the past 3 years. Maybe the biggest problem with the Nuggets right now, other than maybe defensive versatility and better shooting, is finding that third option next to Jokic and Murray. That solution might be Peyton Watson, who had a great stretch of the season last year before going down with a hamstring tear. But Peyton Watson is still in free agency right now, and if Denver were to retain him, they would have to pay over $150 million in tax penalties. That's unfortunately the price you have to pay for poor roster construction and poor cap allocation. Of course, you're going to be paying your top 3 guys a lot of money, but the fact that Cam Johnson and Christian Braun make a combined $45 to $50 million is just ridiculous. And of course, the Nuggets would rather pay the $25 to $30 million price tag that Peyton Watson is demanding, but they can't get off of that Cam Johnson or Christian Braun contract. Now the team is desperately relying on Nikola Jokic to carry them. But honestly, that is just not a sustainable process. Think of all of the other all-time greats. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, maybe one of the players that comes first to my mind when I think of players that need help, Steph Curry. In all of their best seasons, where they won the MVP, made all NBA teams, made it to the NBA Finals, they needed secondary stars to take the pressure off of them. All 3 of those players are incredible offensive weapons on their own right. But LeBron needed his Kyrie, his Dwayne Wade, his Anthony Davis. Michael Jordan needed Scottie Pippen. Steph Curry even at times needed his Kevin Durant. needed a Klay Thompson and Andre Iguodala, someone to come in and take some of the offensive load off of him. And while we didn't really see LeBron or Michael Jordan without that star player in the later parts of their career, we're seeing what's happening with Steph Curry now. The Warriors failed to surround him with the right structure. They whiffed on draft picks, they whiffed on free agent signings, they whiffed on trades. Now Steph Curry is entering the end of his career, and while he's still one of the best offensive weapons in the NBA today, he doesn't have the help around him to compete. I'm afraid that something similar might be happening to Nikola Jokic. Now, don't get me wrong, Jamal Murray is better than anyone that the Warriors have. Aaron Gordon might even be better than anyone that the Warriors have, of course, considering that Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. And of course, Nikola Jokic is still in the prime of his career. He's only 31 years old, and he's still one of the best players in the NBA today. But even as one of the best players in the NBA today, he needs his role players to bail him out at times. Every other star in NBA history has needed his role players to bail them out, and every other star will need their role players to bail them out in years to come. But Denver is just not surrounding him with the right pieces to compete. If you take a look at the Michael Porter Jr. trade, you take a look at the Christian Brown contract, how many years are left on that and how much he's making at this point. You look at the shaky injury history of Aaron Gordon, who's only getting older now. It's all unfortunately unraveling in Denver, and the only constant that's holding them together is Nikola Jokic. But at a certain point, that load is just going to be too much for Jokic to carry all by himself. And by the end of his career, the same man that we now view as the 3-time MVP and the 1-time NBA champion may never reach those heights that many thought he could after the 2023 title. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any thoughts on Nikola Jokic, whether you think he needs more help, whether you think I'm overreacting with this whole situation, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. And with that, thank you for watching, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Peace.